Look at that.
That one is no good. That lid, it doesn't come right off, but I would not consume that.
Guten gardening, everybody. This is the third video in our series featuring Hickorycroft Farms. In this video, we're going to focus in on pantry living. So this is our third video in our series with Hickorycroft Farm. And this is going to focus on a slightly different aspect, a very important aspect, which is what we do. I say we. I don't even live here, but I think as a gardener, right? I'm part of the family now. But what we do with the produce, whether from the vegetables or the animals that we collect, what happens next? Ready?
Yes.
Let's get started. All right. So what do we have here?
So this is raspberry jam out of the.
Oh, I don't want to touch because the lids are.
Oh no, they're good. They're all set.
Okay.
This is raspberry jam. I discovered this. This week at our local store, all my subscribers were recommending trying pomonas because you don't have to add sugar to your jam.
Oh, okay, that's amazing.
And so I finally found it, and being with the diabetic stuff, this is awesome. So we haven't even taste tested it yet.
And what's this?
This is cat food.
Oh,
that's meat for cats.
But you canned that as
yes,
well?
yes.
Okay,
That's
canned cat food.
Canned cat food. It's always there.
That saves money.
Yeah. And also saves space in the freezer because it was all in the freezer before.
So we're down in your main pantry.
Yes.
Now
or at least our main homegrown pantry.
Okay, excellent. And I mean, I'm seeing so much variety in here, which is awesome. Now, you started a brand new channel, and well, tell us a little bit about the channel. You can tell us the name. Of course, I've already mentioned it a couple times, but tell us the name and why you decided to start the channel separate from Hickorycroft Farm.
So, new channel is Pantry Living. I'm super excited about it. We've been in existence now since January. That's when I kind of started up and got it rolling, I guess you could say. And what I kind of wanted to do was focus on the preservation side of the farm and how we then use that food to sustain ourselves, essentially. It's got a few kind of grocery hauls thrown in there because even though we grow 75% of our food, we do still have to buy some stuff, and it's always interesting to kind of share those. And I guess it's just a way to really teach people a little bit about what we do with everything we grow here on the homestead.
And you process, well, I don't say process, but I think that works too. You preserve your food in a lot of different ways. And I see a lot of canning here.
Yes.
And that's a big method for you. Also, how simple is this labeling? But it just makes perfect sense. I mean, come on.
And I will say that that green drywall tape is amazing.
That is fantastic.
I label everything now with the green drywall tape.
So, well, here's the question. What are the different ways that you preserve the food? I mean, we got canning.
Yeah, canning, basically water bath, pressure canning. I do enjoy fermenting, although that's something that's really new for me. So I've only got a few recipes that I've really mastered, but I'm still experimenting with that. Freezing, everybody knows freezing is kind of a go-to for so many.
100%.
Yeah, and dehydrating. Yeah. No freeze dryer yet. Big pipe dream goal, but that's an investment that's way down the road.
Was that basil upstairs that I saw dehydrating? What was that? Was basil?
Yeah, we've got basil and chocolate mint. We just got a new what do you call those? It's a dry, like a hangy thing.
Yeah.
No electricity involved.
At first I thought it was a tower for a pet until I realized it was all netting.
Yeah, full of herbs.
No, that's fantastic. So how did you get started? Was this something that your mom did? What is this?
My mom was all about the processed food.
So healthy, you know.
My grandmother was quite big into jams, jellies, and sort of simple canning, pickles, that sort of thing. And they say stuff skips a generation. And I just kind of took it to the next level, especially once I got with Chris and we really started growing. Yeah. You really had that thing of you didn't want to waste the food that you were putting so much effort into growing. And my best friend was very big into canning as well. She still is, and we can often together. So we've kind of learned and experimented with different books and recipes and found the things we love and eat all the time. And it just works amazing.
Well, I'm thinking about this too, because I mean, the jams and jellies and those types of, I think that and tomato sauce. Yeah, tomato juice probably even more than tomato sauce were the big things growing up. That my family did. That and grape juice, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's
one that I've not been fortunate enough to do yet because we haven't mastered grapes.
Yeah, that was something else. You know, looking at all this, you have dates on them, of course. You put dates on the top, right?
Yeah, some of them don't look at all the dust, but they're like okay. 2019.
So that's a question that I'm sure a lot of people have, actually. how long is too long? I mean, how do you know if it's still good?
Dust it off. That's 2016, so that's 8 years old. It'll be perfectly fine. That's hamburger relish, water bath canned. I've got pickles there, you saw, 2018. One thing I would probably suggest is pressure can type items. We go through them a little quicker. I never make pressure canned items in huge batches because I want to rotate them out quicker. Where when I'm making jams or jellies or things like that, I'm really making huge batches that might last me for years because I don't need to do it all the time.
How do you know if it's gone bad? Is it just like the can, maybe it's popped or something?
The can will pop.
Okay.
Often that's the biggest sign. That's why you don't leave your rings on when you store them, because if it pops and the ring is on, it holds it and it will reseal. And you'll get quite the surprise when you open that, I'll tell you that.
I imagine the smell, among other things,
I'm trying to quickly look here.
See if there's one that
I could. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Oh, look at that.
That one is no good. That lid, it doesn't come right off, but I would not consume that.
You know what? That's going to be the intro to that video. What you just said and what you just did there, we go, that one is no good. That's going to be the intro to that video.
And it happens. It doesn't matter. I've been canning for 16 years. It still happens. Sometimes it can be a bad lid. Sometimes it could be just your processing. There's lots of reasons. Is
there anything that is, well, let's start, there are two sides to this question. What's your favorite thing to can, and what is something that you tried canning and you're like, I'll go do that again. It doesn't taste as good.
Oh, just because Chris isn't here, I'll do the one that I don't like first. Squash.
Oh.
Squash is horrible canned.
Okay.
That's pickled squash.
All right.
And I'll give you another example. Squash soup. This is like a curried squash. You know, I'd put this in the bowl and then I just use my little, what do you call that thing? Stick blender.
Stick blender. Oh, okay.
So you put it in and you zhuzh it up and then it's just basically a pureed up squash soup. I don't know, it just isn't the same once it's been canned.
It doesn't have the same texture for sure.
No, and it doesn't have the same taste. It has an overcooked taste that I just don't like. So squash would be my never. What
about potatoes?
To be honest, I've never canned potatoes.
Interesting.
And the reason for that is we find our potatoes keep really well. I actually still have potatoes from last year that we're still eating. I am going to be making some lamb stew with those this week. And I don't ever can them because we usually go through them.
Potatoes that have lasted the whole year to this point and not sprouted all over the place.
It's probably so sprouting. Take the eyes off.
Okay, just a little bit.
As soon as they start to sprout, I go through the boxes and I break all the eyes off.
Okay.
So I do that multiple times. And when they start really sprouting, I go through them every 2 weeks, break them all off. And if I find that they're starting to get soft, I throw them in the fridge.
That was my next question, is that so that prevents some of the softness because they're not using the nutrients to grow.
Exactly.
That's such a good point. Okay, so then we got that out of the way. What's your go-to, your favorite? You got a lot of options here.
You know what? My favorite thing to eat is probably also my favorite thing to can. Summer's Best soup. It has beans, peas, corn, carrots, onions, potatoes, everything in here, all in a tomato base. I love this soup. I probably canned, I'm going to say 36 jars this year, and I bet you that's being modest. It probably was more than that. Love canning this one, but probably all pressure canned ready meals. I love ready meals.
Do you have that on your channel yet, that recipe?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, we'll take a look and see.
If it is, we'll link it. I gotta think. I'm like, I've done some other soup ones. I don't know if I've done this one yet. So stay tuned if it's not there.
Absolutely. So if somebody is brand new to preserving food, I mean, this might be a little bit overwhelming because you have so much here, but not everybody produces all this stuff. I know that. So where would be a good place to start, and maybe what are some recommendations you would have for people getting into this?
Okay, so my recommendation would be start with water bath canning. Okay. And I would start with jams and jellies. Super easy, almost fail-proof, and which is very encouraging. There's nothing worse than your first canning job and it doesn't work, or you go to have it and it's horrible, right? Pickles, surprisingly, I find pickles, as easy as they seem to be, they don't always turn out perfect and are disappointing. A lot of people, their go-to for an easy, simple start to canning is pickles, and I find They can be soft, they can be mushy. It's not right. They didn't seal. There's just so many things.
So just go with refrigerator pickles for that.
I love refrigerator pickles. That's my thing.
I absolutely do.
Relish is very easy, on the other hand. Relish is very easy, but as you can see, I've got tons of relish or bread and butter
Different
pickles.
types, yeah.
Bread and butter pickles are lovely, but dill pickles are a challenge for me.
Well, I'd also say too, the water bath, it's cheaper. As you know, buying the first purchase, and the pressure cookers can be a little bit much, just to get started, especially not knowing how much it is that you're going to be.
Exactly, a pressure cooker for the investment of the $350 to $600. You need to know that you enjoy canning before you get into that.
So you could argue that one of the main benefits is preserving less food waste. That's pretty clear. How much time does this take for you to get all of this together? What are you looking at here?
Hours,
yeah.
Lots of hours, and that's not counting the time to grow it. But I would say on average, if I have a good canning day and I work on on and off for say 6 to 8 hours, I can can upwards of 40 jars of stuff. So that is a lot of meals, but it definitely is a time investment, and every item takes different things, especially with pressure canning. Your biggest thing is waiting for the pressure canner.
Well, just like we talked about in the animal video here, where there's specific times of the year that you're more busy. I'm assuming because when it's harvest time, etc., for certain vegetables, this is when you're going to be busiest with canning.
Yes, we also hit that thing of when busiest would be end of August to end of September for sure. But you also have surprisingly a busy time in June when you're trying to empty the freezers in order to make space for all the harvest that's going to come in. And that's where we're at right now, is there's no freezer space and all the plants and everything are ready for us to
be brought in.
Yeah.
Well, we've already put a plug in for your channel. Is there anything else that you would like to let us know? I know you focus on a few other things like hauls, etc. But is there anything else that we should know about this process of canning and preserving food that you think is super important?
It's very valuable. Very, very valuable, especially if you're growing some of this yourself instead of having to buy it. And I'm going to give an example. Ketchup. Ooh. I make all my own ketchup. We grow the tomatoes, and ketchup really has very little else in it. It costs nothing. It's I'm going to say, if you don't count the cost of the jar, because I reuse that over and over, it's maybe 20 cents.
Versus $5 or $6, and you know what's going into it.
Especially organic ketchups,
right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So things like this, barbecue sauce, steak sauce, those are where the money savings really come from. It's enjoyable to do some of the other stuff too, obviously, but I do find pasta sauces, that's another huge one that you can see saving so quickly on when it comes to the canning. And I think that's something that kind of gets missed sometimes, is there is really some money savings. There's a bit of an initial investment in jars and things like that, but once you've got the equipment, you have that for years. I mean, some of these jars have been with me for 15 years now, so.
No, that's perfect. Now, if you didn't watch our video about the animals here at Hickorycroft Farm, you will have missed a simple statement that Chris made, and he said that the sheep here are the cornerstone for many reasons here on the farm, but one of the things that I also wanted to focus on was some of the wool and the yarn that you create. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
So even with all the canning, I still managed to find time to use one of my favorite products from the sheep, their wool. That is actually why we went with the breed of sheep that we chose, the Icelandic. But I love to spin, and that came from my love to knit. I absolutely love knitting, and spinning has become quite the passion and quite the pastime.
Now, you have quite a few videos, or at least several videos, where you talk about the process of getting the wool, certainly to that step. This is over on Hickorycroft Farm.
This would actually be on life-raising sheep.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Things I don't know. Do tell.
So life-raising sheep is our third channel. Oh. And it is all sheep. It's all of my spinning, cleaning the fleece, milking the sheep, raising sheep, just basically life with sheep. And sometimes it's not so grand, but sometimes it's fantastic. Well,
this is an example of how it's fantastic, because you can see the transformation here. That is so cool.
If I pull this out, we're going to spin.
That is awesome. So if you've ever wondered, boys and girls, if you've ever wondered how this is made.
There goes our tea.
Oh, wow.
Look at that, in we go.
It's like celebrating the tea in the background. So you're spinning, you're getting the wool on here.
Yep. It is basically, we're drafting it on here, and then it will become, it will be washed and processed and turn out into that final yarn.
Let's check this out, because this is so cool. Look at the quality yarn. I just think that's amazing.
Wonderful. I love to make mittens, slippers, things like that, and recently experimenting with dyeing.
Oh boy.
I'm super excited about this. This is my favorite color too, which also helps with the excitement level.
That's fantastic. What are you using as a coloring?
This is actually store-bought, just manufactured dye. Okay. I do want to play around with some natural dyes.
Like your beets and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been saving all my onion skins, purple and yellow, supposed to make beautiful yarn. But basically I've got to get kind of over the nervousness of wasting yarn and just experiment and go for it.
Right, because it's not like you have an unlimited supply of 20 sheep and
yeah. It's not like I don't have enough wool, right?
Yeah, but any waste is going to be
exactly.
tough to
it
deal
feels like it's like that nerves of what if it doesn't turn out, but realistically it'll just not be the color I want, so I should just go for it.
Right. And where can they find some of the mittens that you were talking about that you sell?
So we have our own website, hickorycroftfarm.com. All 3 channels all fall under the umbrella of Hickorycroft Farm. And on there we have our mittens, some of my quilting, and soon to be some of my yarn.
So if you're interested in any of this amazing wool, and I gotta tell you, I'll try to put some pictures from hickorycroftfarm.com of the mittens, etc. That is an option for you. And you're supporting a wonderful, wonderful cause, which is Hickorycroft Farm.
Give this a little, just don't let go of the thingy,
Yep.
and just give that a little spin, and then keep your, no, other way. There we go. There you go.
So
and you're spinning.
Wait, why does it go the other way? I'm pretending like I know what I'm doing, but I clearly don't. We'll leave this to the experts, but thank you so much to Steph and Chris for having us here. If you haven't checked out all 3 videos in this series, you really need to. You see what farming is like, what growing vegetables, animals, and the produce. Let's not talk about what I've just done here. You see what all of that's like here at Hickorycroft Farm. Again, we have links to their website and their channel down below. Check them out. We hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are to grow.